Rich, Hot, and Free. Welcome back to another episode of Rich, Hot, and Free. I'm Jill Stanton, and this episode feels so deeply personal to me. I'm excited to shoot it, and also it feels very personal for me. So healing my fear of rejection, my fear of judgment, my fear of being criticized, called out, canceled, misunderstood, all of it all into one, abandonment, all of that. Healing that for myself has been some of my deepest work over the last few years. And I see so many women navigating these exact patterns, and for good reason, because a lot of us have had pretty strained experiences with women. But this is one pattern or one, what do I want to call it? Like block, dynamic, pattern, habit, like belief, that kind of thing. It's like this one thing cannot come with you as you rise into your next level of growth, success, and alignment. Like it just is not an energetic match. A fear of judgment, rejection, and criticism is not an energetic match to you operating at your highest and brightest. And so I see a lot of women dealing with this. Like I said, I've personally dealt with this, and also healing this for myself has been some of my best work I've ever done on myself. I am so deeply grateful to have moved beyond where I once was. I'm sure I still have more to do around it, but what I've learned up until now has set me free, truly. And so I'm excited to dive into that with you guys today, because I truly believe this work can be such a massive part of your own expression and liberation and magnetism and your level of confidence and success and power and leadership, which is what we're all about here in Rich, Hot, and Free, in case you can't tell. So I often find that these fears, like not wanting to get called out or not wanting to have people say mean shit about you or not wanting to get rejected or whatever it is, this often shows up in different ways, but it can look like saying no to opportunities. It can look like watering yourself down. It can look like being very vanilla or boring in your messaging or your content or the offers you create, your marketing, like all of that. It can look like it can show up in how you sell, how you pitch, how you explain your offers, how you hold your standards, how you hold your boundaries with clients or people in the industry or people in your offline life. It can look like, spiraling if a launch doesn't go the way that you want, or I don't know, people unsubscribe to your email list or create a Reddit thread around you. You know what I mean? Like it can show up in so many different ways, but the main point of it, the way you can really spot it, is someone dropping their magnetism, someone dropping in their power and not stepping into their full audacity in service of avoiding judgment. And this matters so deeply because I'll tell you right now, like your dream buyers, like they do not want the version of you who is trying to stay safe to avoid judgment. Okay. Your dream buyers want all of you. They want you at your full potency. They want you at your boldest and most daring and most cheeky, most alive, most confident. And so this matters because your dream buyers don't say yes to people who are trying to stay small. They say yes to leaders. And if you're trying to avoid rejection or criticism or judgment from them, you're also avoiding a deeper level of magnetism. Like I said, you're also avoiding a bigger level of money. You're avoiding momentum. You're avoiding being seen by the right people who are easy yeses and like all in full-bodied fuck yes dream clients. That's who you're missing out on when you drop your power in service of staying safe. And I'll tell you right now, you will not make big money in your business if you are still operating in pick me energy or like me energy or don't attack me energy. Okay. That is not the energetic match to big money. And I know this because I dealt with this. Like I've seen the impacts of this in my own businesses over the years. So this started for me, like this whole fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of getting called out, fear of being misunderstood, like fear of judgment, fear of being gossiped about, like anything and everything, fear of being backstabbed, like all of that. That's been quite a journey for me. It actually started back in my formative years. Like this started for me around 9 years old and it continued up until I was like 19 or 20, right? So I had a good 10 plus years of really painful and isolating and humiliating and degrading relationships or experiences with girls and women. And so, like I said, that started when I was in grade school, and it went all the way through up until like when I left for university. And it looked like, I don't know, getting targeted at parties, or I had a chick chase me with a bat, which sounds so insane. I've had 30 plus girls surround me in my car and not let me move. I've had like girls in high school. I grew up in the 90s also. So like I was in high school in the 90s, like I'm 44 now. I literally can't imagine going through this stuff now with like social media, because some of the shit that I went through back then I felt was like so bold. I was like, oh my God, these chicks are bold. Like they're crazy. Like they would spray paint shit on the walls at school, like spray paint the school building. Like with Jill is a slut. It was crazy, man. Like now I thought that was bad. I can't even imagine what it's like with social media. If any of you guys have like young girls or teenage girls who are navigating this, like, oh my God, I so get it. It can be so heartbreaking and so terrifying to navigate this. And just the feeling of isolation that you can feel when you are the one targeted or called out or singled out in a group of people. Like that used to be the biggest, like my face is already going red with how much that used to just terrify me. Like being surrounded by a group of girls and being like in the middle, having them all scream at you and shit. Like it was just so triggering for me back then. I'm sure it would be slightly triggering if I had it now, but I've just done so much work. So that's where a lot of my work came from, is like, I don't even think I was even aware that I walked away with wounds from that. I was just like, well, I guess all girls go through that. And I actually concretely believed that all girls went through that until I met quite a few girls. Like one of my girlfriends, Caitlin, comes to mind. She's a private wealth planner. And I remember telling her this experience because she used to come to my Millionaire Girls Club retreats. And I was like, but most girls deal with this. And she was like, no, like I never dealt with this. And then I was like, oh, really? And I started talking to a couple more women who had never experienced something like this. And I was like, wow, like that actually shocks me that you guys had like above board, all good experiences with girls and women in your formative years. Like it shocked me. And so I don't even think I was aware of like the wounds that it gave me for a long ass time until I started having these kind of conversations and seeing these wounds pop up in my behavior, like day to day. And so it played out being like me being hyper vigilant or always on edge or trying to control other people's thoughts or opinions or experiences of me. It looked like me being overly performative in order to prove I was confident, hint, I was not. Spoiler alert, I was not. It had me avoiding my feelings. It had me not speaking my needs. It had me barely having any standards or boundaries. Like I would drop my boundaries like that if someone confronted them. It looked like me invalidating my own knowing. It looked like me dropping my power routinely. It looked like me using my husband as a crutch. He's the smart one. He's the one people want to work with. I'm the entertaining one. Like there's so many instances in Screw the 9 to 5. There's so many times in podcast episodes or interviews or coaching calls where I would say, Josh is the smart one. Josh is the one people want to coach with. He's the teacher. I'm the entertaining one. I'm the connector. I'm the community support. Like, what the fuck? Like, how did no one see that and point that out to me? Like, maybe you should watch how you talk about yourself, Jill. But this also had me turning down huge opportunities, turning down speaking gigs, turning down a book deal. Guys, you're going to be disgusted at some of the things I say that I turned down. Turning down a TV episode. Like all because I just didn't want that level of visibility. Like it felt so threatening to me to have that many eyeballs on me. I also turned down, this was when I was younger, like I was still in my 20s. I turned down a reality TV show because they wanted to make me the villain. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And so it's just showed up in so many different ways. I was overly combative. I just was so fucking performative. If I could like sum it all up in one thing, it was like, I was so fucking performative instead of just myself. And I didn't even become aware of that until similar to what I was talking about with the standards episode, like probably 3-ish years ago. And so, like I said, this is very recent work for me. So what was the shift? I remember this chick, Veronica. I also met her through Millionaire Girls Club. And she's like, why aren't you out there more? And I was like, oh, I don't need it. I don't want it. And then I have screwed the 9 to 5. Like, I had that. I don't need it anymore. And she was like, oh, you're hiding in plain sight. And at the time, I was just like, yeah, it's like IYKYK vibes. And I didn't realize that what she meant is like, you are actively not allowing yourself to be seen. And at my core, I know I'm meant to be big. I know I was given a big presence for a reason. And I think for some of us, at least, if you've also been given a big presence, or, you know, you have a certain gift or a certain talent, a lot of us have to go through kind of like the shadow side of, or like the dark side of that talent, you know, people's projections or attacks or criticism or judgment or rejections or whatever it is. Like, we almost have to navigate that first in order to heal that, release it, strip it away so that we can move forward in our biggest, boldest, badass selves. So that's kind of where I think I am now. And I'm sure I still have more work to do, of course. But even like just in this podcast, if I'm being really real, like, I'm really fucking proud of myself with how I've shown up so far in this podcast. Like, honestly, a couple months ago, I was like, if I ever do a podcast, I'll like script my episodes so I don't go off track and I don't want to lose my way and like tangent and all this. And now I'm like, fuck it. I tangent. I want to riff. I want to just be my fucking self. I am so sick of like trying to present some sort of like bullshit version of me when I'd rather just be all of me. I'd rather just be my full potent self. I'd rather just be here for the ones who get it versus trying to control the ones who might not. It's like, if they don't get it, fine, fuck, I don't care. Like, ultimately, I really don't care if someone doesn't get it. I really deeply fucking care about the ones who do get it. They're my people. Like, if I received such a beautiful note today, actually, from my client, Erica, who's just like such a superstar. And she just sent me such a kind love note after listening to the first few episodes of the RHF podcast. And she just reminded me, I feel like that's why I just was like, fuck it, I'm shooting this today. And I'm just rolling with like barely any outline and just all my thoughts and feelings. Because just the stuff that she reflected to me of like, I get it, and you are meant to be seen in this version of you. I also got another message from this chick, Claire, who kind of said like, never do anything scripted again. And it's just given me so much like, I don't want to even say validation because I'm not looking for the validation, but reassurance that this is my path. And the ones who get it will really get it. And the ones who don't, it's like, it's okay. It's like forgive and release. Like, you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to buy my stuff. You don't have to work with me. You don't have to pay attention to my content. Just like ignore it. Go on your merry way. And I really wish that had dropped in for me years ago. Years ago, because it probably would have been, I don't know, Oprah rich by now, probably. Versus like, I'm so grateful for my journey and all the success I've had, for sure. And also, if I had this level of power and this level of identity and self-leadership back then, bro, I can't even imagine what would be possible now. So here's how I started shifting this for myself. For me, starting to acknowledge what was at the root of all of this. Like, where is this coming from for me? Where are these feelings, or where is the sense of anxiety or like hypervigilance or trying to manage people's emotions coming from? I really had to sit with that. It took me, guys, come on, like multiple months to even get to the root of that answer. And then also, as I started doing that work, I realized how much of a people pleaser I was, which was wildly eye-opening for me because, one, I'm an Enneagram 8, and two, I always operated under a belief of like, I won't do shit that people don't want me, or I won't do shit that people want me to do if I don't want to do it. And I thought I was so bold, but really, if I was ever pushed on it, I would do exactly what they wanted to do, what they wanted me to do in order to keep the peace or just keep things copacetic or like not have any drama in my life. I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it for them. That's people pleasing. And I realized I was doing that out of an effort of, or out of a energy of trying to manipulate them or control their experience of me or their thoughts of me or what they believe about me or what they say about me in rooms or online or whatever it is. I was operating out of these people pleasing tendencies in order to manipulate and control that. And once I became aware of that, that one was big for me because then I couldn't unsee it. And so I started working on that. I started raising my standards. I started allowing myself to have needs and communicate them. I started firming up my boundaries. I started raising my standards on who I worked with. I started releasing people in my life that didn't feel nourishing or peaceful or safe or reciprocal. I started operating under the belief that I don't need to be perfect. I do not have to get it perfect all the time. I will not get it perfect all the time, if not like even half the time. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be powerful. I need to be in my power going for it because the only thing that I can control is me, my opinions, my emotions, my thoughts, and my actions. And as I started releasing that for myself, that's when I stopped managing other people's emotions. That's when I started being bolder in my messaging. That's when, I feel like that's why the JS brand came through for me because I was finally ready to be seen in a bigger way. That's when I started tightening my boundaries with clients, raising my prices. I became way more intentional with who I surrounded myself with or who I allowed into my life, the kind of conversations I would have. And I started operating under the belief that me at my highest and brightest, like my future self, like the rich, hot, and free version of me, the one who's killing it, she is not worried about someone misunderstanding her. She is not spiraling in emotions if someone feels a certain way about a thing she said or an offer she has or a piece of content or her messaging. She is unbothered and completely unfazed by other people's opinions, projections, or beliefs about her. And she sure as shit doesn't give any weight to people who aren't in the ring. And she knows with certainty that she cannot control what someone might think, say, or believe about her. And not even just control, she'll never know for sure what someone might think, say, or believe about her. So this is what I want to help you deepen in this episode. So we're going to get into a couple points here, but also I just want to quick mention this. If you also struggle with this, and I know so many women who do, if you also struggle with this and you see yourself watering yourself down in your content or dropping your power when you go to sell something or dropping your standards or your boundaries when someone challenges them or tries to push them, or if you notice you drop your power around certain people or certain dynamics or around money or anytime you go for your next level, if you notice that you struggle with this and you notice that you were watering yourself down in service of keeping the peace or not ruffling feathers, then straight up, I'm telling you right now, I'm like gonna have bruises on my legs with how much I'm like, oh my God, I was gonna say fisting myself. Holy shit. I meant like not punching myself. Anyways, I'm moving on. If you're not watching the video, you're like, what is she talking about? Okay. If you struggle with this, back on track, Jill. This is what I mean about tangents, guys. Okay, back on track. If you also struggle with this, like if you know that these things still have their hooks in you, if you are watering yourself down or dropping your potency or not being your biggest, boldest, baddest ass self, then I have an audio series. It's called Unfazed and I want you to get it. It's $77, absolute no-brainer. And there's 5 different audios that walk you through becoming unfazed in different areas of your life. So there's the Unfazed You, your unfazed identity, relationships, business and marketing, money. Oh my God, why am I forgetting another one? But yeah, it just goes through different areas of your life and your business so that you can start to get to the root cause of why this is happening or what those beliefs are, what those triggers are for you, what those fears are, what those limitations are for you, so that you can start to weed them out, release them and heal them, move beyond them, and then go to a whole other level of your power and potency. So I'll drop the link in the show notes, but it's jillstanton.com/unfazed and it'll rock your freaking world. Okay, so let's get into this. So the main thing, I guess if I were to sum up the general point here, it's like your fear of judgment or your fear of criticism or rejection isn't actually the main problem. Okay? It's your over-identification with their thoughts, feelings, projections, or opinions of you. That's it. And what's really cool about this is that their thoughts, opinions, beliefs about you, what they say about you actually means nothing about you. Okay? There's no inherent meaning in anything that someone else projects onto you or says about you or believes about you. You are the one who decides to give it meaning. And I know that might sound a little tricky when you're first starting to do this work, but once it lands for you, it will liberate you, because once you realize that someone else's opinion actually can mean truly nothing about you, like there's no negative charge around it, it can just be like, oh, okay, well, wish you all the best then. Like if the second you become unfazed around that, you become liberated. And really that fear of judgment or that fear of criticism really only thrives when you have outsourced your self-esteem or your self-concept or what you believe about yourself to strangers on the internet. And you give them more weight than you give your own self-opinion or your own self-concept or your own self-image, like how you feel about you, what you think about you. That fear of judgment, that fear of criticism, it really only continues to take up space for you, or it really only stays active for you if you are also simultaneously outsourcing your opinion of yourself to other people on the internet or in your life, in your offline life, in your online life, wherever, anyone outside of you. That's where fear of judgment or fear of rejection or fear of criticism or being misunderstood, that's where that fear thrives. It thrives in the shadows of the shit that you're not willing to process or release for yourself because you're intimidated by the emotional charge behind it. So their opinion doesn't actually have to mean anything about you. Like their opinion of you does not make it true. You do not have to buy into it. And their self-imposed limits or their self-projected limits, when they project that shit onto you, that also doesn't have to mean anything about you. It doesn't have to determine the direction that you go. It doesn't have to have any fucking impact on your business or your life. You are the one that gets to determine that for yourself. And you'll never be able to control someone else's opinions or judgments or projections or anything. You'll never be able to control what someone might think, say, or believe about you. Okay? So once that actually landed for me, it's actually what would I call it? It's like one of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. So in Stoicism, which I am just in the beginning phases of learning, but I've learned through my hubby, Josh, who you'll meet on the show. I call him JNN because Josh News Network, because he's such a researcher and he's such a he's so curious and he's always I don't know, just ingesting so much knowledge and wisdom and all these things. Anywho, so he was on a real Stoicism tear for a while. And so I was learning about Stoicism, one, through him, but also through reading the book, The Beginner's Guide to Stoicism and Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and all of this kind of stuff. Anywho, another tangent. But what I was trying to say is Stoicism has this principle called the dichotomy of control, and it essentially states that there are things you can control and there are things that you cannot control. And the things that you can control are your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, your desires, and your actions. That's it. Anything outside of that is outside of your control. And even if you have some control over something, if you do not have full control over it, then you do not actually have control. And once you realize that, it helps release so much of the suffering, because a lot of our emotional suffering comes from trying to control things that we have no control over, like someone else's opinion of you, right? And the second you realize that you will never be able to control that for them or for yourself, like you'll never be able to control how someone views you. It is very subjective. It could change at the drop of a hat. The second you release the fact that you can never control that is the second you set yourself free. Because you'll realize in that moment that if you can't control it, then you might as well just be who the fuck you want to be and allow people to have their opinions and their judgments and their beliefs about it. It doesn't have to mean shit about you. All right. So I think a great question to ask yourself with this, if you struggle with this and you're ready to detach from it, is where are you filtering your actions or how you show up through someone else's opinion of you or imaginary thoughts about you or potential beliefs about you? Where are you filtering yourself, or where are you watering yourself down in an effort to try and control how someone might think, feel, or what they might believe about you? Answer that for yourself. I'm so keen to see what comes up for you. All right. So the second piece about this is a lot of people, when they struggle with fear of judgment, fear of rejection, criticism, all that kind of stuff, is they try to be quote unquote humble. Okay. But playing small isn't humble. Okay. So you trying to fly under the radar, you not being your big, bold self, you not saying the things you want to say, you not being too quote unquote cocky or audacious or too quote unquote full of yourself or too confident, too, I don't know, quote unquote self-centered or self-absorbed or any of the other nonsense bullshit labels people put on you. When you realize that you dropping your power so that you don't ruffle other people's feathers, when you realize that you playing small isn't actually humble, it's self-abandonment, that's when things also start to really shift for you, because you'll realize, actually, this doesn't serve anyone. Playing small certainly doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your clients. It doesn't serve the people you're closest to in your life. It doesn't serve anyone who genuinely cares about you. Playing small isn't humble. It's self-abandonment, okay? Watering yourself down isn't modesty. It's a betrayal of your next level and who you say you want to be. And if your business or if your content or if your sales or something like that feels like a bit stuck or slow or stagnant or feels like you're hitting a plateau, or like no matter what you do, you're just like running up against this like energetic brick wall, then I bet you any money there is some sort of shadow going on there, some sort of fear around judgment happening, because often that is the root cause of why people water themselves down or why they're so fucking boring or vanilla online. It's because they don't want to be big, because they don't want to deal with other people's thoughts or feelings about it. And so instead they try to stay safe. But trying to play it safe is the least safe thing you could do for yourself. And I think people do this because they don't think that they can handle someone else's projections or someone else's, I don't know, mean comments or someone else's heightened emotions or a stranger on the internet's outrage. And so you abdicate your power in service of keeping them at bay or taming the outrage. And so you abdicate your power and you actively give it to them in service of not getting attacked. And yes, that might have kept you safe up until now, but I imagine if you're experiencing some sort of stagnation or plateau or this like energetic brick wall of resistance, it's happening because you're ready to move beyond that shadow or that trigger or that fear for yourself. And that is an energy of playing to not lose. It's an energy of prioritizing safety and comfort and a vanilla version of you in service of just not getting mean DMs or mean comments. You know what I mean? You're prioritizing safety and comfort over magnetism. You're prioritizing safety and comfort over your own potency. You're prioritizing their opinions over your own self-approval. And it robs you of your magnetism, your momentum, the meaning you're creating in your life and your business. It robs you of money. And most of all, like, I think I've already said this, but I'm just going to hammer it home. Like, your dream buyers do not want the watered down vanilla version of you. Okay. They want you at your boldest and brightest and most badass self. And every time you water yourself down in order to stay safe, you are robbing them of that you in your true power, in your full magnetism, in your full level of self-belief and self-trust. You're robbing them and you of that experience. Besides, like, let's keep it real, man. Watered down vanilla chicks are boring as hell to watch. Like, they literally don't inspire anyone to move. They're just nice to be around. I'm sure they're lovely people. Oh my God, I'm sitting here like, get over your fear of judgment. And then I'm like, these bitches are boring. But I mean the ones who are like actively watering themselves down. That kind of content, that kind of messaging is boring as hell. No one pays attention to it. It's why you probably feel like you're being overlooked. And I really just don't believe that you win big in this game by taking small action or operating in small energy or staying safe. You win in this game by being all of yourself, by being your full self, by being brave and courageous and your most audacious self and authentically you and fully expressed. That's how you win in this game. You win in this game by being a fucking savage. You win in this game by not caring what other people might think or say about you and instead focusing on the ones who are all in, who are here for it. Besides, the people that you're often worried about, like most of the time, they're not even in the fucking ring. They're not even doing the big things you want to do anyways. Like, show me some big influencer or some big entrepreneur or someone who has got a good thing going and they're happy and content and successful and growth-minded and sure of themselves. Show me one of those people who also criticizes or judges other people for going for it. I bet you can't name one. Because people who are happy and successful and growth-minded and are emotionally healed, they're not attacking other people. It's the people who aren't even in the fucking ring who do that. And so next time you are experiencing that, or next time you are tempted to edit the post or dial it down a little bit or not say the thing or not sell in that way, I want you to think to yourself, am I doing this in service of the people I truly want to serve, or am I doing it to avoid judgment from the people who aren't even in the ring? And the second you have that answer, I guarantee you'll go to a whole other level of your own potency and your own confidence and your own magnetism and your own audacity and power and leadership, because you'll see that the only people who truly do matter are the ones who are all in with you. Not just clients, not just team members, not just friends, but spouses or family members, community members, whoever it might be. The ones who truly matter are the ones who want the best for you. The ones who truly matter are the ones who fully accept you and all of you. That's who we care about. And the longer you wait to really go for it, the longer you'll feel stuck or overlooked or resentful because you're not being seen in the way that you say that you want to be seen. All right, and then the final one is their rejection or criticism of you or their projections that they put onto you is a mirror. It's not a reflection of your worth. So they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the version of themselves that isn't brave enough to go after it or show up like you are. So it's actually a reflection, like their projections are a reflection of their identity in action. It actually means nothing about you. It shows you everything you need to know about them and how they feel about themselves. Because if someone is projecting onto you or if they're criticizing you for being your big, bold self, that often comes because they do not have the courage or the audacity, or they have not given themselves the permission to actually do that for themselves. And so they'd rather try to tear you down in order to build themselves up and hopefully make themselves feel better. But that slight emotional relief for them is so momentary that then they have to go do it again. So it means nothing about you, and it says everything about them when they are criticizing or judging you or projecting onto you what they think you should do or how you should be or how you should act or the things you should say. If you are jostling that in someone, it is often because they are not giving themselves the permission or they do not have enough confidence or courage to be that for themselves. And so, like I said, they'll try to tear you down to build themselves up. And the loudest critics are often the ones who are the most threatened by your energy or your level of embodiment. It's why they're so freaking loud, because it's almost like they have to drown out their own misery. And the way that they do that, or the only way they know how to do that, is by bringing someone else down so that they get a momentary hit of adrenaline or relief or superiority, but then it fades and they're back to feeling sad again, which is why you see people always in comment threads calling people out being dickheads, because they need that momentary relief to like feel something, some level of confidence or some level of power or some level of superiority before they go back to defaulting to their lack of confidence or their lack of self-esteem or their lack of self-belief and self-trust. So it's never about you. It's always about them. And so as you start to deepen this for yourself, ask yourself, like, where in your life have you been internalizing people's projections or feedback or constructive criticism, quote unquote constructive criticism? Where have you been internalizing their opinions of you or their judgments of you, and you are making it mean something about you that actually has nothing to do with you? Can you think of anywhere in your life where you've been internalizing someone else's feedback and taking it personally when it really has nothing to do with you? Think of at least one. I would be so keen to hear what comes up for you as you actually process that for yourself. And then finally, I think I'll just end this by saying, like, becoming unbothered around this, or becoming unfazed around all of this work around healing your fear of rejection or criticism or abandonment or whatever it might be, being called out, being canceled, being misunderstood, being like all of that. That is not a personality trait. It's a skill that you develop. Okay. It's something that you have to actively work on. And I don't think it happens by accident. It happens with repetition and conscious awareness and a certain level of emotional awareness and self-awareness around navigating your triggers around what other people make you feel about yourself. And so one of my go-to hacks around this, one of my go-to habits for navigating this for myself or healing this for myself, I call it catch, cancel, correct. And so I have been teaching this since 2019, 2020 or so. It has been such a force in my life. And so what you want to do with catch, cancel, correct is that you want to, it's kind of like multi-step. First, I want you to do a giant brain dump of all the negative things that you think about yourself or the inner critic shit that you say to yourself anytime you go to push your edges or show up as a bigger version of yourself or take a risk or make a big move. Like, what are the automatic default thoughts that come up for you first thing in the morning, or when you go to take a risk, or when you go to put yourself out there, or when you go to hit a goal? What are some of those negative automatic thoughts for you, those default thoughts, those disempowered thoughts? What are those? Write it down. And then the second piece is, what do you want to believe about your ability to absolutely fucking crush it and make all your dreams happen? What do you want to believe about you stepping into your highest self? What do you want to believe about you being able to operate as your future self? Write it all down. Like, what are her beliefs, right? Like, future you, $1 million version of you. What does she believe about this? How would she feel about other people's opinions or judgments or criticisms? How would she view herself? What would she know to be true about herself? Write all of that down. What would her beliefs around money be? What would her beliefs around audacity or visibility be? What would her beliefs around marketing and content be? What would her beliefs around money or other people's opinions be? Write all of that down. What do you want to believe? Then the third part of this is, once those default automatic thoughts come up for you, and they always will, like, they're just so ingrained at this point. So especially when you start doing this work, they'll get even louder, or they'll probably be more consistent. So the second those come up for you, the second you start noticing yourself in that swirl or in that thought storm, that's when you have to catch yourself. Like, in that moment, the second you become aware of it, you say, catch it. You catch it. And if you're a psycho like me, you'll say cancel out loud. Like, if I'm really in a thought spiral where I am just not the nicest to myself, I will literally say cancel out loud until I've interrupted the thought. And so I've been at grocery stores in the past, just in a little thought spiral, being like, cancel, 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 as I'm looking for chicken, or getting, I don't know, eggs. So whatever, you know what I mean? I will sit there and say cancel out loud until I've interrupted that thought. And then the final step is to correct it with what you want to believe. So going back to those future self-beliefs. So again, we catch the negative thought, the disempowered thought, the old version of you thought, okay? And then we cancel it. And then you correct it with what you want to believe. And if you can do that consciously, if you can really make this a habit, you will start to notice how quickly you can shift the trajectory of your thoughts and how quickly you can heal this fear for yourself. And once you do that, you'll notice just this new level of power starting to come through for you. You'll notice that you've deepened your embodiment of it, and you'll no longer be reliant on other people having to think highly of you or think positive things about you, because you will become truly unfazed as you do this work. So, I would love for you to ask yourself, if I was truly unfazed, if I didn't give a flying fuck what someone else thought of me, how would I allow myself to show up and move today? What move would I make today that gets me one step closer to her? Future you. The most audacious, powerful, magnetic version of you. The most unfazed, unbothered, confident, potent version of you. If you were truly unfazed, how would you show up? Answer that. I would love to hear what comes up for you. Also, if this episode jostled something in you, good. Like, this is where it all starts. I am so excited if this is activating something in you, because it shows me that there's something there for you to explore and work through and release. So if you haven't already picked up Unfazed, do it. It's a 5-part audio series, instant access. You get it. It's yours for life. It's $77, and it is some of the best work you can do on yourself. So if this episode activated something for you, if it woke something up for you, if you're feeling some sort of charge around it, good. That discomfort or that charge is showing you that there's work to do. And that part of you who's been self-abandoning, she's done. She's ready to break through. She's ready for her next level. And she's ready to step into this vibe of her most potent, magnetic, alive version of her. The one who is truly unbothered and unfazed by what anyone might think, say, or believe about her. So if you vibed with this episode, if you zinged with it, if it brought up something for you, I would love to hear it. All you got to do is shoot me a DM on IG at I am Jill Stanton. Or if you're watching this video on YouTube, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear what stood out for you. And if you haven't yet rated or reviewed the podcast, I would be so grateful. You can hit it up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or of course on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much if you're watching on YouTube. Come connect with me on IG, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.